Hi, I'm Jay Phelan. I teach biology at UCLA. Thanks for watching. In the world of business and technology, there's long been recognition that constraints can spur innovation. Obstacles can challenge people to find new and better solutions, providing motivations to rethink some of their assumptions and maybe reconsider established practices. For instance, here in Bloomberg, we see one of the people at Google talking about how creativity loves constraints. Constraints shape and focus problems and provide clear challenges to overcome. Creativity thrives best when constrained. Or this Harvard Business Review article. Researchers reviewed 145 empirical studies on the effects of constraints on creativity and innovation and found that individuals, teams, and organizations alike benefit from a healthy dose of constraints. There's another article in a management journal about creativity flourishing when there are more constraints. Now, in our world, with the unexpected and very rapid transition from in-person teaching to online education, colleges have encountered significant difficulty. These have been very tough times. But the same constraints are also driving some dramatic positive innovations in teaching. So I want to talk about some of the new techniques and tools that we've developed and what we've discovered about more effectively using a lot of the tools that we already had. It would be great if we could carry these innovations forward so that when we return to the classroom, it's a better world. I'm going to look at 4 different areas where we can apply some of these innovations. And a good place to start is in nurturing an environment that's conducive to learning. There's real value in helping our students to see that they fit in, that there are people in their class that are like them, that their path to success is clear. One of the ways we can do this is just by creating a more welcoming and positive syllabus. There's a lot of research that has come out showing that the tone and the content of the syllabus are extremely important in helping students to understand what to expect from the course and to get a sense of whether or not they are going to feel like they belong there. We argue that content-focused syllabi have become increasingly authoritative and rule-infested to the detriment of student learning. So you should think about some ways that you can better use your syllabus just to convey an inclusive, welcoming, warm environment to the students. It might just be a few little lines here or there, but saying things like, I hope you'll find answers to questions you're curious about and that you'll be spurred to ask many more. Or I hope you'll learn that biology is about you and that it touches every aspect of your life. It's creative and it's fun. And give a personal touch as well. I look forward to getting to know you and hearing your feedback on the course. It's important for me to hear what's valuable and engaging for you as well as your ideas for improving the experience. Also, because first impressions are so important, particularly when setting the tone for a class, make a welcome video for your students. They can watch this before their very first day of class and get a sense of some things like, what are you so excited about the class? What do you like about it? You're going to be telling them things that you have enthusiasm for, whether it's the topics like we're going to learn about learning, nutrition, protecting biodiversity, improving brain function, and so on. Or if you're excited about all of the cool role models that people are going to see, people that you really admire, that the students maybe will be able to look up to at some point. Another thing you can do that is beneficial when trying to nurture an environment that's conducive to learning is to give students more flexibility and choice in their coursework. This is something maybe you hadn't done before. I certainly hadn't. But now, whereas I once would just have some kind of writing assignment, now I say, hey, you have to write this short science summary, but I'm going to give you a lot of choice. Here's an article that talks about this, creating a learner-centered teaching environment using student choice in assignments, based on the results that show that students have a much better experience and they learn more when they have some control, some choice in the matter. I changed it from one assignment now. There's 62 different articles I found that the students can write about. They get to pick, they get to decide what they are interested in writing about. Something else that goes a long way in nurturing this good environment for learning is increasing your own self-disclosure. If you can help students to see you as a human, which they do right now when you're talking to them via Zoom, from your home, from your bedroom, they see that you have a family, all those things, that's really important. But research shows that this is important in all types of education. So when you use self-disclosure, it can be a really powerful instructional tool. Maybe you convey to the students about your own struggles or your path to becoming who you are as a scientist, as a professional, errors that you have made in doing science, or embarrassing things that you've done as you came to learn things. Tell them stories about your heroes. It's good for them to see that you still have heroes, people you look up to, or silly stories about the ways that you see science in your own life. If you have topics that you are inexplicably enthusiastic about, that's fun too. Just showing them the pathway you took, that can help them get a window into their own development. Or if it's just a little bit of comic relief. Here I am at a photo shoot for an article in Elle magazine, and it was kind of ridiculous, but it's a funny experience. Incorporating online activities in the classroom is something that can have huge value to a lot of students. We're doing a lot of that now when the whole enterprise is online. But when you come back in the classroom, don't lose sight of the fact that there are a lot of students, particularly students who are shy or insecure, or for some other reason just don't want to participate verbally. When you do online assignments, you have students commit to an answer. It might just be to a Google spreadsheet or Google Doc. They see it up there, they get to participate. Or you have a question and they have to respond in a chat window. Everybody can see it. And now you've included a lot of people who otherwise might not have felt part of the discussion and might then be less engaged. Another big area that's ripe for improvement is communication. It's ironic that we can learn a lot about improving communication with our students from changes we've made during the transition to online courses, but it's still useful. An important thing is just understanding the value to clarifying your goals. What are the learning objectives that you have so that your students can set expectations properly? How much are they going to have to work? What work are they going to have to do? What do you expect from them? There's an article from an education journal. They never told me what to expect, so I didn't know what to do. Talking about the extreme importance of telling the students what you expect. And it might be including your student learning objectives right on the syllabus. I decided that I wanted to just put them on the website, not part of the syllabus, but the students can go there and they can look at them. These are the things I am hoping that you will all gain from this course. If you can articulate the justifications that you have or the explanations that you have for pedagogical choices you make, that's really valuable. For instance, what I've done is I've created a little section on my course website where I put the educational research that says, here's the value in this. So for instance, if you're doing a lot of collaborative learning, you want your students to understand, hey, it's not just a trick or it's not just some way to mix things up. There is educational value that comes from collaborative learning. Here's what it is if you want to learn about it. So why not let your students know that you've got some rationale for why it is that you're doing what you do? Or if you're giving them guidance on how to study, you can post, here's the research that I am basing these recommendations on. It can be important in a class to build in ways that you describe and discuss the big picture, whether it is the administrative big picture, where are we in terms of the logistics of the course, or conceptual big picture. How does this week's material fit in with the overall course? Something that I've done is create this 10-minute Zoom meeting that I have each week. Students don't even have to come, but I record and I post it, and I call it the week ahead. At this meeting, I just say, here's what we're going to be doing this week. Here's why I like it. Here's how it fits in. Here's something that's particularly interesting. Here's why I love this, or just something about that. It's not the material itself, but it's sort of the meta commentary on it. And the students like that. It helps them feel that they know where they are and they know where they're going. When we're back in the classroom, if you add an additional office hour via Zoom online, huge value from that. Maybe you've already discovered this, that things like problem solving, when you have a lot of students who are interested in getting help, doing this online can be much easier and more effective. And you can record it, post it for other students. Students who maybe don't want to come to your office, or they're embarrassed, or they feel like they're not going to know what to say. If you do it online, you can reach a lot of those students. This is really valuable, so I'm going to stick with that in the future. We've really had to get creative when it comes to the learning activities that we use now that we're not all in the same room at the same time. An important perspective that I have on this is if I can develop questions that are going to help students connect ideas that we're learning in class to their lives and their own personal experiences, or if I can connect assignments to these things, I think there's real value. One of the things that I've been doing is I've developed these self-reflection and analysis assignments. So instead of just restricting themselves to the content itself, I try to make it more personal. So for instance, here was one of them. I'm not a science person. Why might you or someone you know have ever said that? Using examples, explain why this is not actually an accurate assertion, and B, why is this potentially a harmful thing to say? I got some really interesting answers. Here, one student said, I attended school in an underfunded inner city school that I look back on with fondness but also sadness. By high school, my science foundation was weak, and my chemistry teacher told me I didn't deserve my college acceptance to UCLA. This played a part in me switching majors. Terrible. Or this person. A harmful thing is that this may falsely convey an attitude of disapproval toward the studies and conclusions of science, which could undermine essential institutions. Another self-reflection that I have is this. An important feature of scientific thinking is that it can tell us when we should change a belief we hold about the natural world. Describe an instance of scientific thinking causing you to change your mind. What was your belief and why did you change it? Another way you can use a really rich learning activity, I think, is this. Make your assignments discussion board posts. That way they're visible to everyone. So rather than your student writing a paper and turning it into you or their teaching assistant, they post it to the discussion board. You'll still grade it there, but everybody can see it. Then you give credit to other students for responding to other posts of students in the class. Here's what I put on my syllabus. Students are encouraged to post thoughtful, constructive, supportive responses to the posts of other students in the class. From these, you can earn 1 to 3 points up to a maximum of 12 points. So now there's a little bit of incentive. It's not very much, but it gets people joining the conversation, talking to each other, building a community. This person says, I can totally relate to this. You touched on a really interesting point. Dislikes for specific fields can lead to a dislike for science, which can lead to negative perspectives. This person says, I love that you mentioned how academic performance doesn't equal passion. I'm glad to see there are so many people who relate to this topic in similar ways. It honestly makes me feel less alone in it all. Right? That's ironic. So we're online and all of a sudden the student is feeling less alone. And I don't know that this would have happened in the typical classroom setting. I really like the way that you put your response because I personally have never thought of it that way. So they're teaching each other. Here's another, I think, rich learning activity, and that is to give your students the option to make a music video or a mock movie trailer to synthesize and reinterpret the course ideas. I got this idea from one of my colleagues. Make a music video or parody movie trailer about one or more of the concepts we cover in the class, including mostly technical, scientific, and accurate information about ideas that we've investigated. Videos will be evaluated based on biology and scientific ideas, creativity, and overall quality. Surprise us, make us laugh, make us cry.
What would I do if I could feel?
When it comes to knowledge, there is no ceiling, especially life sciences with Dr. Phelan. Regardless of your major, you can learn considerably from scientific thinking to biological literacy. Don't fall victim to the pseudoscience. Smart sounding claims, but not really in compliance. And should you trust the words of an eyewitness? Do you know what's critical when assessing fitness? I don't mean pull-ups or a bench press. I mean relative reproductive success.
He had a dream he hoped would come true, that we'll know evolution and we'll know Hamilton's rule.
The act of figuring out how to communicate it, I think, has real value. They're taking what they've learned, integrating it with what they know, and now returning it to the world, but in their own words, their own ideas. Among a lot of the other values that we can find from these new, richer assignments, we also see a reduction in cheating incentives and possibilities if we use assessments that require more individual responses. This is an important thing. We've had to develop more flexible and informative assessments when the students aren't in the classroom with us. One thing that I've done is this. I have the students do an assignment called a photo post in response to a prompt. So the prompt might be something like this. Post a photo of or advertisement for a product or service that makes a health claim. Describe what would constitute reasonable evidence for the claim. Investigate and report on the actual evidence for the claim. So they're all doing different things. They can't cheat on this. They have to draw from their own life. Here someone posted a Frosted Mini Wheats package that says, clinically shown to improve kids' attentiveness by nearly 20%. Really? What the student wrote was this: the actual evidence uncovered by the FTC showed that this health claim was extremely misleading. And then in the responses, because students respond to these as well, like the self-reflection, someone said, my mom used to buy these for me because she believed their ads. Someone else said, I used to love this cereal. My parents would want me to eat it on days I had finals to keep my brain going for a long time. Students wrote about claims made by shoe manufacturers or yogurt manufacturers. This person wrote about some dog treat, soft, moist training treats, because it said, enhanced with DHA to support cognitive development. And then they wrote about what they would have to have done to validate that claim. Another post might be this: post a photo of an interesting graph you encounter in your everyday life. Describe where it comes from, what it's saying, and how could it be made more effective. Again, everybody's doing something different. So this is something where there is no incentive for cheating. They're all drawing on their own life. This student looked at success in online dating sites. Another student showed a map of COVID-19 cases in the US. But you have to figure out, how do you read this graph? What does it mean? Are there ways that you could improve it so people would understand it more, get more information out of it? That has huge value to a student if they can take what they've learned and then apply it so that they could make something better. This student shows the daily average usage of various apps on her phone. One way they can enhance the graph is to add a feature for analyzing monthly screen time. Users can see how they can counteract their bad habits and reflect on where they went wrong throughout the time frame. One last idea that I'm going to throw out there for you is this: you can incorporate real-world, real-time data for quantitative analysis problems. This, A, connects it to their life, and B, is going to make it hard or impossible for students to just go cut and paste an answer from somewhere. So here's an example from one of my colleagues' finance exams. Calculate from scratch the weighted average cost of capital of a real company. I don't know what that means. I didn't take the class. Think of this as a project that you might receive on a job. Well, I like that. Include screenshots of your sources, upload a single file. And then he provided all of these companies, their stock abbreviation, and the students would sign up for a company and then do their project. Well, I'm going to stop here, but I hope that these have given you some ideas about how you might use some of the valuable teaching innovations that people are developing during the pandemic here and carry them over so that we are someday, hopefully, back in the classroom. It will be a better, more inclusive, more effective world. Thanks for watching.